Solinco Whiteout 16 by 19. I'm a little late to the party, but better late than never. By the way, today is my sister's birthday, so you can wish her all the best in the comments. She moved from Poland to States, chasing her American dream to become an actress. If you are from LA or New York, working in the film industry, let's connect, let's do something and create a funny story out of this, how the star was born. But let's move to the review. So first thing that comes to my head after testing the Whiteout 16 by 19 is that it feels very familiar. It is somewhere between a Blade, Pure Strike, Speed MP, had Extreme Tour, Yonex Vcore 98 and Tecnifibre TF40. So if you mix all those together, you can land somewhere in the Solinco Whiteout's territory. Feel is very solid. The racket is foam filled, and as you know, I am a big fan of foam filled rackets. It takes out harsh vibrations without making the feel over muted. The power level is a bit above the Blade 16 by 19, below Pure Strike and Speed MP. In general, if you take Speed MP and its responsiveness, user-friendliness and stability, squeeze it a little bit down to become a 98 square inches racket, you can get a Solinco Whiteout 16 by 19. Some players switch from TF40 to Solinco Whiteout. I think it was Gu from Tennis Spin, and there are some key similarities between those two rackets. Both are foam filled, both have constant beam, both are in general feel oriented, but with a little modern twist, let's say, compared to Prestige or Blade line. But in general, I would say Whiteout is even more user friendly, which actually, that aspect I prefer over the TF40, which sometimes can be a bit unstable or anemic, but excels in feel, so always something for something. I prefer the feel of the TF40, and I think Whiteout has to improve, despite being foam filled, despite having this constant sweet beam thickness. I think the overall feel during contact should be improved. Maybe drop the stiffness by 1 point or 2 points without changing anything else. Keep the frame user-friendly for those who want a bit more than they can get from the Blade, but a bit less than they can get from a Pure Strike or Speed MP. And I think I fall in this category. I appreciate Speed MP's user-friendliness and responsiveness, but for me it's a bit too much, and 100 square inches racket feel a bit different than the 98s. The connection is a bit lost there, especially with a springy 16 by 19 string pattern and 23mm beam. I'm talking about Speed MP, of course. Whiteout, thinner beam, 21.7 I believe, a bit thicker than a Blade, and slightly below the legendary H22 from Wilson. Interesting background of the Whiteout is that Roman Prokes helped Solinco develop the final design, and he's the man responsible for Novak Djokovic frame, and he previously worked with Agassi and Andy Roddick. Just to tell you some key names behind Roman's mastermind. There is also an interview with him pricing some rackets. From what I remember, he mentions Yonex E-Zone and Wilson Blade. as a reference point, and I think Whiteout is somewhere there. It's an easy one, like a E-zone, but it's aimed towards those players looking for control and feel, mixing those two aspects together, trying to cook something interesting for us tennis players. I actually appreciate the slightly wider spacing of the strings. It gives me more spin potential, lift, forgiveness, of course power as well. So let's say it is taken from the rackets like at Extreme Tour and Yonex Vcore, but Vcore is a bit more muted, Whiteout is more solid, and Extreme Tour is a bit anemic and empty in feel, so Whiteout is definitely more stable and more solid as well. But when compared to Blade, let's say, I would still need a bit more feel and comfort and touch. I think that would make the frame actually perfect, especially that you have the option to customize it with the Solinco's wave modules. You have an option of +5 and +10 grams, and you can easily attach it to the butt cap of the frame. Check it for yourself if you prefer a more headlight or more head heavy setup. I actually enjoyed +5 and +10 more than the stock version, so that is interesting, you know. I saved the racket for myself. With the modules I can easily within the one training session find my setup, or at least, you know, check two possible alternatives. Maybe +5 is my preferred setup with the Solinco. +10, it gets a bit tricky because of the slightly more responsive nature of the Whiteout. I tried Whiteout with the Solinco Confidential 125 at 23 kilos. And personally, I think I would try to drop the tension a bit to get more feel and comfort and touch, maybe slightly more pocketing sensation, so possibly even more spin potential. Yeah, of course, more power, but when all things come together, you get more control, so you can accept more power, and you actually should look for more power if you also have more control, right? So yeah, that is an interesting concept. Sometimes dropping the tension could help you find your better game. So yeah, guys, go lower in tension. Even professionals go lower now, and they switch to softer setups. We can see the trend of brands releasing softer versions of their already established strings. So maybe Turbite Soft could be an interesting option for the Whiteout 16x19. In general, I would look for a feel-oriented string for the Whiteout. I think this combination would perform even better, or try a stiffer string but drop the tension a bit lower. Solinco Whiteout is a very stable racket. It's very similar to Speed MP. Therefore, the feel of my backswing feels kind of similar to Speed MP, which is a bit weird. I would lower the twist wave to get more feel and feedback. With higher twist wave, you can lose a bit of this connection, because the racket becomes this one big massive wall that destroys the ball. Of course, for some players it is a very good thing. Even Djokovic adds crazy amounts of lead to the sides of the racket, actually around the racket, so he's addicted to lead. But I would like to see some improvements within the design, and at the same time I don't want it to change the DNA and overall idea behind the frame. So this is a tricky part, how far they can change the racket without changing the overall intention behind the racket. Some reviewers said that the frame is too springy for them, too responsive, and to some extent I agree with them. On my backhand the launch angle maybe was a bit higher than I am used to, but here is the trick. With such open string pattern and responsive frame, you can change the string to the thicker one, 130 gauge, and you tame the launch angle. You hopefully don't lose enough of this responsiveness and spin potential, but you get lower launch angle. And in some cases, it gives you the best of both worlds. The tricky part with the other 98 square inches racket is that when you put 130 gauge string in those, sometimes you just kill the response, kill the potential, the racket is dead and boardy. So I think that in general it is good that Solinco offered something a bit more lively than, let's say, the feel control monster than the Blade family is. But I think Whiteout has to land in specific hands and specific players that know how to use such frame or how to adjust the frame to their needs. On forehand it was all good for me. It is my weaker side, forehand, so I always appreciate when the racket is helping me. I really love the sound of hitting the ball clean, very crisp and very solid. I think it is a bit easier to use than Pure Strike. Babolats are known to be very responsive, very user-friendly, but it takes a lot of courage to use Babolat frames. You must have an attacker's mind, always prepared to kill the opponent, go for your shots and go big with every shot. Babolats are a bit too responsive for me, and Whiteout from Solinco is a bit calmer in response, which I appreciate, but still is aimed towards those players looking for a bit more boost, a bit more push from the racket, transitioning from defense to offense a bit easier, and with a wider string pattern it is definitely easier to hit second serves. And that is my main concern with TF40 from Tecnifibre, because for some reason I lose a lot of power potential when serving with TF40. Lately I've been struggling with serves, so this is something that is on my mind, and the racket that will help me find my serves once again will probably win the tournament. And Whiteout is in the lineup. It's in the selection of 14 rackets that are, in my opinion, the best for players like me. Grinders, maybe looking for those counter punches. In general, I don't want to miss. I want to drain the energy from the opponents. Whiteout has a lot of assets that I am looking for in the frame. The biggest question is, with the Whiteout, is it worth losing some feel and control for all the help that I am getting? Maybe I don't need as much help, and I would prefer slightly more feel and control. I've heard rumors that the Whiteout is about to be updated, so I hope they will drop the stiffness by 1 or 2 points, but they will try to keep the responsiveness and user friendliness of the original Whiteout 98. If they manage to do so, wow. So this is it for the review. If you enjoy this type of content, please subscribe, it helps me grow. You can check now my tournament of rackets for the newcomers, and yeah, predictions. The clay season is now here in Europe. I need spin friendly setup, I need forgiveness, and I need something stable but fast enough to adjust in last second with those random bounces on the clay courts. In my tournament of rackets, Whiteout will be facing a missing puzzle. So follow me to find out which racket will take the last spot in the tournament. Thanks for watching, see you soon.